So, do you think that rap lyrics have gotten dumber?
I think it just has evolved with society. Society as a whole has gotten a little bit dumber over the years. And so, like, everything in music now is about sex or drugs or anything else. And a lot of the rap lyrics are just like that. There's no more stories, there's no more meaning behind it.
Casual and serious listeners have complained that rap lyrics have gotten dumber ever since Designer dropped Panda, seemingly jump-starting the popularity of mumble rap. Since the trap infusion into hip-hop, and probably since before that too.
Do you think that rap lyrics have gotten dumber in the past few years?
Yes, I do.
They're trying to appeal to a specific mindset, which appears dumber to older generations.
I wouldn't say they've gotten dumber. I would say they're changing with the generation. So most of the modern songs, they're trying to catch their attention.
Lyrically, like the lyrical rappers, I feel like gotten better. Like Kendrick, J. Cole, J.I.D., there's some good lyrical rappers. And then trap like Uzi, Cardi, ASAP, like they're not really focused on lyrics, it's more focused on beat and like the flow. It's good in my opinion.
It seems, with my limited understanding of rap music, that as kind of the genre itself formed, it was rapping about a lot of things like drugs, money, sex, in order to sort of expose general experience. Whereas now a lot of popular rap music, not all, has sort of transgressed to rapping about those things for themselves instead of for a purpose.
They've gotten dumber just because I think most rap talks about is just wealth, sex, and alcohol and drug abuse.
But just like I coach my college students to do, we have to figure out what we mean by the question, has rap gotten dumber? When people ask that question, what do they mean by rap lyrics? How recent are these lyrics? Are they the popular ones? And what do they mean by dumber? Worse topics, more repetition, lamer rhymes? And what are they comparing these lyrics to? Last year's, the 90s, the golden age of hip hop?
For the people who listen to the older songs, they've gotten dumber. I'm used to the lyrics now.
Yeah.
Now I want to listen to the story. Like they tell a story like you can follow a narrative. Like the rest of them are just talking about I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite rappers of like all time is Nas. Nas, like he's a really good rapper. Like also like Joey Badass, he was really good too. Like lyrically,
Yeah.
like his first mixtape 1999, he focused so much on lyrics and it's really slept on and it's really good. And also like Nas's music in general, like I don't think I can name any bad song by Nas.
I like Tupac, he was really cool. And like Jay-Z.
Early 2000s, 90s, stuff like that, and the stuff that has a story, the stuff that you can really get a feeling from.
In this video, I want to ask the question, has rap gotten dumber? But I want to do it strategically, with carefully defined variables, math, and the help of music expert Anthony Fantano, the needle drop, to help wrap up some of the results. When I talked with him, he made the excellent point that changes in quality are to be expected and are part of the life cycle of any genre.
You know, if we're talking about a drop in quality, we can certainly say that there's been a drop in the artistic merits of a lot of pop rap out there. However, I don't really find that drop in quality or attention to detail or you know, this blatant adherence to you know, all these really trendy formulaic ideas. I don't find these to be anything unique to the way that rap has shifted. I mean, when most genres hit the mainstream, and we've seen it happen again and again and again with grunge and with electronic dance music and with a lot of other things, you know, hair metal and hard rock and that sort of shit. We've seen this happen over and over and over, that once something hits that top of the mainstream, there becomes like this form that everybody follows and sort of boils down so that it appeals as widely as possible into the lowest common denominator, essentially.
So now it's up to us to see if we really are in a dark phase for rap, or not. To study this topic, I collected 345 rap songs, and with the help of a crew of 23 volunteers from around the world, I analyzed data on these songs for things like number of words, the types of topics mentioned, or even the number of swears. It took us a whole week and about 40 man-hours to collect the data. Particular thanks to Airship Prodigy, Drop the Album Carly, Tomas, Cosmo the Chug, Mist, Bernie Toast, Starflight 12 Dish, Scion, and Salma, among many others. Together we studied Bodak Yellow by Cardi B, The Real Slim Shady by Eminem, Hypnotized by the Notorious B.I.G., and 342 other songs. But before we analyze the data, we have to define what we're looking for. First, for the purpose of this study, rap music is in most cases songs in which the verses are chanted in a hip-hop style, and we're going to focus on popular rap songs that more people are likely to have heard and thus be complaining about. In this case, that's all rap songs that made it into the Billboard Top 10 since 1979, which happens to be 345 songs. In addition, when people complain about quote-unquote rap these days, we're going to assume they're talking about 2018 because there was an explosion of rap songs into the charts that year. Second, we'll get to how I specifically define dumber, but know that in this project we are measuring it by word and topic choice, since the concept of dumb itself could mean anything to anyone. Finally, as for comparing today's rap lyrics to something else, we're going to be comparing them to everything. The 90s, the 80s, the 2000s, everything. If today's rap lyrics are dumber than something, we'll know what it is. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at our first test, word length. To do this, my team and I measured the average number of syllables and characters per word in each song to see if rap's vocabulary has grown or shrunk. The assumption here was that the bigger the words you use, the smarter you are. That's not a completely fair assumption since someone could be using bigger words poorly, but analyzing word size might begin to lead us in the right direction. Well, I did all the calculations and what did we find? First of all, you might be interested to know that the song with the shortest words was Nasty Freestyle by T. Wayne, and the song with the longest words was Mask Off by Future. In fact, Future's words are on average a full letter and a half longer than T. Wayne's words. Yeah, no wonder when Future's using words like promethazine, guillotine, and parliament, and T. Wayne's just saying, ain't too many things I ain't done yet, I'm the king of this shit, crowned by the toilet. Our results were that word length across the decades didn't really change. When we compared the average number of letters and words across the 80s, 90s, aughts, and teens, there was very little significant difference. If there was any change at all, it was that the words of 2010's rap were the longest by like a tenth of a letter. The 1980s and 2000s were the simplest, and 2018's raps themselves contained longer words than any single decade. If word size didn't really change, then in one sense, this test failed to yield a significant result. But like I tell my students, any result is significant. In this case, it's because it shows that, at least according to word size, rap didn't get any dumber. For now, 2018 is safe. Oh, and another quick side note, I thought this was kind of funny. Despite the average word size in English being 5 letters per word, in rap it hovers right around 4. It doesn't really mean much, but don't tell your parents that rap is on average 4-letter words. They won't know what to do with that, but they probably won't let you keep listening. As a second measurement for this topic, I wanted to look into swearing. Smart people swear, and really quality works of literature have plenty of swearing, but when I hear people complain about rap music, they mention swearing and the crudities a lot. It's all 4-letter words. How much creativity does it take to swear for 3.5 minutes? So just for kicks and giggles, I wanted to see what swearing could tell us about these songs. And I'll apologize to everyone who helped me, who had to count all of the swears. Altogether, we counted 2,265 swear words for an average of about 6.5 per song. The most swear-filled song was Mona Lisa by Lil Wayne, with 51 swears in the verses alone.
Turn around, I ain't around, I ain't around, cut you with your pants down. You know what it is, put your hands up.
But let's get to the results. Ignoring a couple of years that didn't have enough data to be reliable, the most swear-filled years were 2013 and, you guessed it, 2018. And as far as decades go, the 2010s were by far the worst, with about 3% of words being swearing, compared to just 1.5% in the 2000s, 1% in the 90s, and none in the 80s. That's like doubling every decade. On top of all of that, every 24th rap word in 2018 was a swear word, or about 4% of all rapped words. Now, does this mean rappers were less creative or dumber in 2018? I don't really think so. Maybe maybe they all learned how to swear more creatively. What this does mean is that swearing in music has become significantly more socially acceptable and maybe even more tied into the culture of rap music itself. I don't think it means that rap has gotten dumber, but if you think that swearing equals dumb, well, for you personally, it's not looking good for rap these days. My final test was to see what rappers have been talking about and to determine whether rap topics are more or less interesting in 2018. To find out, my team and I coded our 345 songs for mentions of sex, romantic love, drugs, heartbreak, loss, overcoming poverty, praising oneself, working hard, partying, money, music itself, expensive cars, and more. These results here are complicated, but let's start going decade by decade. In the 80s, most popular rap songs mentioned drugs, alcohol, and sex. In the 90s, sex and substance use mentions stayed about the same, but all of a sudden, a ton of songs were about self-praise or quote-unquote spitting game, if you will. Songs like Dr. Dre's Nothing But a G-Thang or Been Around the World by Puff Diddy. And songs started seriously mentioning partying, street life, money, and music itself. In the 2000s, sex and drugs got even more popular, and artists talked about heartbreak, loss, and breakups more, getting into some deeper, more emotionally involved topics. Partying was a huge topic for the 2000s, but rap had also apparently become a lot more self-confident because more songs than ever mentioned working hard for one's success, self-praise, money, and expensive cars. Finally, in the 2010s, sex dipped down to the lowest of any decade. Revenge or getting even got a lot of attention, and intense loneliness peaked. But these rappers were more self-absorbed than any others, with 68% of songs including some form of self-praise. Overall, if I had to characterize these decades, it would be like this. The 80s were a simple age of just having fun with sex and substance abuse. The 90s saw the rise of ego and exploration of hip-hop culture itself in its own music. The 2000s were all about partying and doing honestly whatever while maintaining a strong focus on self. The 2000s also cemented rap's legacy as focusing on outward finances as an indicator of success. The 2000s, though, are all about the image and the money, who the rapper is, and what he or she can afford. At the same time, though, the teens are the biggest decade for exploring deeper topics. Amid the Ferraris and $100 bills, 2010's rap artists let us know that something was missing.
Throughout the 80s and 90s and the 2000s, for the most part, hip-hop was very stylistically condensed. But these days, given that you have all of these different branches of conscious rap and pop rap and industrial hip hop, and it just seems like there's so much more experimentation and variety these days, even if you do have to kind of go out of your way to get a hold of the more obscure stuff and the more underground stuff and really kind of come across something that's really unique.
The same diversity that Anthony mentions is apparent in the types of topics, particularly in 2018. When we compare 2018 to the decades, we hear fewer songs mentioning sex, fewer mentions of drugs and alcohol compared to the last 2 decades, more mentions of heartbreak, an incredible 11% of songs being about or mentioning deep loss, less focus on self-praise, the lowest mentions of partying since the 80s, and more exploration of black culture than ever overall. Topic-wise, 2018 had rough songs like Chun-Li by Nicki Minaj or Walk It Talk It by Migos. But it was honestly one of the best years for diversity and interestingness of rap topics overall.
I think probably the most definitive statement that you can make about rap now versus rap in the past is that it's a lot more varied. Maybe it seems like that's not the case if you only look at it on the surface and whatever's the most popular stuff and the most chart-topping stuff. But throughout the 80s and 90s and the 2000s, for the most part, hip-hop was very stylistically condensed.
Personally, based on having had to listen to all of these songs, I think that 2018 might have actually been one of the best years for rap music. I know fans of other genres and old school rap fans complain about mumble rap, trap music, or songs that say the word bitch like 50,000 times. But 2018 was also a year for artists like J. Cole, Drake, Kanye West, or Childish Gambino to dive into some really interesting topics. J. Cole talked about wealth as a trap, Kanye talked about the dark side of drugs, and Childish Childish Gambino gave us an incredible picture of some of America's social and racial problems. So how do we balance that with songs like Taste by Tyga or I Love It, also by Kanye West and Lil Pump? Personally, my theory is that there will always be really dumb rap songs and really smart rap songs.
As far as like the most largely listened to popular music genres out there, you know, rock and metal and hip hop and electronic music, the quality judgments that you can make about these genres are very much the same quality judgments that you can make about popular music overall. And that's honestly that if you were to average the good and the bad out, you'd probably get to I don't know, a 6 point something. You know what I mean? Like a vast majority of it is going to be passable, listenable. There's going to be some incredibly great stuff that, you know, you got to uncover that is, you know, sort of in that 8 to 10 range, and there's going to be a lot of heinous garbage as well that sort of drifts down toward the bottom of the quality spectrum.
So, big question time though. Overall, in 2018, has rap gotten dumber? The answer is, I don't really know, but I don't think so. I personally tend to go with what Anthony pointed out about music coming and going in cycles.
If we look at the inception of rap music and sort of you know, mirror it with the inception of rock and roll music and electric rhythm and blues and all that stuff in the 50s, and mirror it decade by decade, hip hop is very much due for a grunge-ish revolution at the moment.
Some cycles are good and some cycles are bad, but I don't think 2018 is really all that bad. But here's what we do know from our analysis.
First, rap word choices have gotten a teeny tiny bit longer, but not by any significant amount. This doesn't mean rap artists are smarter, but it does mean that in this respect, they definitely aren't any dumber. Second, if you measure dumbness by levels of swearing in songs, then rap has gotten dumber. Way dumber, like 2 or 3 times dumber. But I don't think that actually proves much. Finally, while rap topic choice got significantly more predictable and less varied from decade to decade, 2018 itself actually showed a lot of variety and reversed the popularity of trends for topics like sex, partying, and money. In this respect, while there were plenty of songs that listeners might consider predictable or dumb, there were lots of other artists who capitalized on rap's insane popularity to say newer and more interesting things in rap than ever before.
And I hadn't thought of this myself, but Anthony Fantano suggests that a lot of this is largely thanks to Drake.
I think ever since Drake has sort of rose to the level of prominence that he's currently at, he's very much influenced and guided, maybe not intentionally, but still guided, this new, somewhat more sensitive and sentimental wave in rap, where you have a lot of these kids who are making songs that are a lot more introspective and depressive and suicidal, and a lot of the drugs that they're rapping about, it seems like they're doing it less out of a party ethos and more out of a I'm dealing with a lot of shit right now ethos. And as of right now, I kind of think that's sort of the new wave, and I think that's honestly where things are headed.
And I think we see the beginning of that wave in 2018. Personally, if rap lyrics are getting dumber, I don't really think 2018 was the problem. There was so much more diversity of thought, and while some artists really didn't have anything to say, there were a lot out there who used the medium to dive into deep topics. If I had to pick a dumbest year for rap, I would say probably sometime in the early 2000s, when I think that the Black Eyed Peas nearly killed rap by commodifying it into little pop party packages. But maybe that's a topic for another video. Thank you so much, Anthony, and everybody else who helped make this video possible. You can see links to these channels down in the description. I highly recommend you subscribe to them. Quick side note, I'm about to show you some more mathematical analyses of song lyrics if you liked this one. But I wanted to say that you should join my Patreon. You, me, and a bunch of other people can have conversations about song lyrics. You can join us for our monthly community jam, where we talk about sharing different songs with each other that we like. You get special status on my Discord server and access to other perks too. Plus, you can help buy Strudel some extra treats. Maybe he won't look so miserable on camera then. Check it out, link in the description. And if you want to watch more mathematical analyses of how lyrics are written, check out this one about how Eminem writes raps, or this one about how The Weeknd writes his lyrics.